Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the TJR Auto channel. My name is Tyler. Right here we got my '04 GTO named Gemma, and in today's video I want to work closer at getting this thing to run. So if you saw last video, you guys would have seen that we finally have the heads cam intake LQ4 6-liter iron block, of course, as well as my T56 Magnum F 6-speed manual finally installed in the car. So without further ado, let's get to work on this bad boy and try to wrap this thing up because I want to drive this car. Alrighty, so I believe our first step of action is going to be getting our lovely intake manifold on. But in order to get this intake manifold on, we need to take care of our steam ports. So here, these will go at the back of the heads, and this goes at the front of the heads and ties it across, which runs over, I believe, to the coolant reservoir or to the radiator, one or the other. So here are the little ports back here. So we're going to be blocking off these back guys, and the front guys will have that Y piece. So I just realized I don't think I ever cleaned out this intake manifold, so let's give her a clean. And when I moved it around, I heard a little bit of noise inside. So for hoo-ha's, let's just see if anything falls out. Oh, that's good. Wow. Oh, a lot of oil too. That's good. That's always good for, you know, intake stuff. Oh, that's nice. Any more metal? Oh, what the hell? Okay, I'm gonna take a long time to clean this bad boy out. That's pretty bad. Getting PTSD. My lord. That might need a little cleaning, to say the least. Just a little bit of cleaning. And I'm going to take a guess and say the intake manifold does as well. That focus on everything. Oh yeah, look at all that. Yeah. So it's a little nippy outside, but I guess we're going to be pulling out the power washer. First round of cleaning on the intake manifold is done. Just going to let this thing drip dry. Honestly, I might let it drip dry for a day and take a look, tomorrow or later on and see if there's any other metal in it. I'm probably going to put a ridiculous amount of pressurized air through it to try to hopefully that's good. In the interim, I cleaned the throttle body, took this thing apart, cleaned it up pretty well. It's actually cleaner than it was before, so can't complain about that, I suppose. Cleaned up the map sensor in this because this was new and it's still in good shape. It's still usable. Don't know if this is going to be reusable or not, if anything actually went up into it, but yeah, we'll figure that out. So let's hop onto something else that doesn't involve the engine. Let's do the shifter. That's pretty easy and rewarding. So let's get this done. Alrighty, so for the shifter setup in this car, I have a TIC Performance short throw shifter for a T56. This just so happens to be Magnum F. All the same deal. Now, the way that I go about installing a shifter in the GTO is obviously I had to put the trans and engine in the car. So I actually had the shifter on the trans already from the last time it was ran. So I know that's all good down there. And I left it like that when I stabbed the engine and trans into the car together as a package. So you guys can't see it, but the little shift lever nub is basically sticking right up through the trans tunnel. And now I will install this piece, which is just 2 Allen screws, and you guys can see this oval here that's actually stepped out. It's not flush, it's stepped out. That's so it can lock into the lever and doesn't get wiggly, per se the screws loosen or something of that nature. So try to do the bottom screw first as well, make my life a little bit easier. And then I have 1 Allen key, which is twisted, and this is the guy that I usually use for this install. So all right, now that I got that bottom one in most of the way, let's run in this top one. Now with those 2 screws tight, we now have the like the stagger or the setback handle. I don't really know what you call it, but that's all there now, so that's good. I went to actually take the shift knob off of this like shifter handle rod thing earlier, and it just came, the whole thing came off. So because of that, I'm going to take a dabble of Loctite my favorite thing in the world. Go the right way. Something of this nature. Give me a break, guys. It's been a while. It's been a while. Wow, this thing. Ah, there's reverse. This thing feels phenomenal. I am excited. Then we will stab this back in. Alrighty, I think we did that right. Close that. Throw this guy back in here. It's this little tray. We'll tuck the edges of it. Makes it fit really nice. Boom. That feels pretty good. Alright, that should be on there pretty good. Well, shifter's installed. Let's go find something else to do. All right, guys. Well, I think for now I'm going to be giving up on the intake manifold. Basically, as you saw, I had to pop apart the two pieces of the outer shell, the two shells, whatever you want to call them, split them apart, and of course the rope seal just broke in a bunch of spots. This because it's the rope seal for this. I'll show you guys later. You have to actually cut it into certain pieces and lay it in a certain way, and then RTV it. It's a pain in the ass. I don't know if I'm going to get a new one of those or not. I need to clean this one up and see if it's reusable. We'll figure that out. But the manifold had so much nasty oil sludge and metal in it. And I know when I put that intake onto the LS1, obviously a while before it blew up, it did not look like that. So I'll show you guys how it cleaned up, and I'm going to show you guys what we got going on in the interim. So here is how the intake manifold currently sits. I sprayed the living hell out of both of these. Pretty decent water pressure hose, so they cleaned up pretty well. I sprayed the living hell out of them with compressed air everywhere. Try to get all the water out of them for the most part. So that's why that one's sitting downward, so the water can get out of that. And same here, so it can kind of run out towards where the throttle body would be. So you're just going to let these things dry. I'm going to look in to see if I need to get a new rope seal or if I can reuse the one that I have. But let me show you guys what we got going on instead. So I figured instead of dealing with that situation, I actually connected the clutch line under the car, which is basically just a quick connect fitting with a clip holding it. I'll show you that. And then I currently filled the reservoir up. And let me show you guys underneath how we're looking. So you guys can see the clutch line comes down and then it connects yonder. Like I said, there's just a little clip holding that together. And when I actually did the Magnum F, I put a speed bleeder setup on this for the reason of what I'm doing right now. So follow the speed bleeder line. It's gonna get rough for a second. You guys can see I have the black hose pushed onto the fitting, right above that pink paint line mark, right? So I have that black hose that I just pushed onto there. Oh, that's two. Yep, there we go. And I cracked the bleeder open, and then I threw it into this. I cleaned this bottle. This was brake cleaner, I believe. Patterson Car Care. Actually worked really well. But I ran the line into this little bottle of fresh DOT4 fluid. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod looking at this bottle, and I'm going to go pump the clutch pedal. And with the bleeder open, the reservoir full, and the black line that again comes from the open speed bleeder, this should, be able to bleed the air out of the clutch system as well as fill the thing up completely. So I've never done single person bleeding of brakes or clutch before. Last time I did this, my girlfriend actually helped me with it, so let's give it a shot. I had to do a fair amount of bleeding with my girlfriend when I actually bled this thing from under the car. All right, let's see if that is spraying anywhere. Well, it's not spraying anywhere, so that's a plus. I don't know if it's doing anything though. Unless it's just because of how long of a line I'm using. Oh, there's air coming out. That's good. All right, guys, I think we are done bleeding the clutch. You can probably notice how much higher the fluid level is now in this little bottle. And when I pump the pedal or hold the pedal, it doesn't really seem like any more air bubbles want to come out. That's just holding it to the floor. That's me pumping it, holding, nothing. So I think we're safe to tighten up the speed bleeder and probably pump this thing a couple more times. Just make sure it feels good and whatnot. The pedal, from what I remember, it feels pretty spot on. So I think we're good here. Another thing I did as well was I cleaned the reservoir because it had a little bit of black stuff in it. So I don't know if that was the old throwout bearing maybe losing some material into there, or maybe it is a master going bad. But I figure once we close up the speed bleeder and then pump the living hell out of the pedal, we will see if there's any leaks. And we will also see if any more nasty fluid comes up through here. I would think by now we would have gotten some nasty fluid into this bottle. And you can tell it is. It's a bit murkier than when we started. It was definitely more clear. So I think any of the nasty stuff actually we got out. So I can say I'm content with this so far. So there's really not. There's that little bit of slack, which I think it's always had, and then all the way. And it's good feeling all the way through. That squeak is pissing me off. I have to probably lubricate something, or that's my firewall tearing. All right, guys, so I ended up getting the intake really clean. Honestly, I'm pretty stoked with how clean the innards of it is. Definitely no metal and oil in it anymore, so I'll call that a win. And then I debated against if I should be waiting a week or not for a brand new rope seal, but I figured screw it. I actually test fit the 2 lids of the intake with the original rope seal in it. I just cleaned it up really good. And it still had enough gasketness to it, if that makes any sense. Like when you went to put the 2 shells together, they didn't just like click right together. Like there was still a little distance between them without having the bolts in it. So I took it apart, cleaned everything really well multiple times, threw the original gasket back in, and then I ended up doing some fuel safe like RTV sealer on all the corners and just any of the questionable areas. So right after I did that, I basically put a bunch of weight on top of the intake, ran some errands, and it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Looks about as good as it did the original time around. So now I lubed up all of the runner or intake runner gaskets, whatever you want to call them, lubed them up a little bit with some oil. Now we will drop this bad boy into place and start bolting it in. Boom! Intake is finally installed. And honestly, that looks killer. I know I already said it, but I'm excited. I'm allowed to say it 10 times over. It looks pretty goddamn good. And one thing I can finally do is connect this ugly ass hose. I know it goes right there. Oh yeah, that's rewarding. All right, let's keep throwing parts at this fucking thing. So we got some stuff plugged in, as you guys just saw. We basically have the injectors, coil packs, and the throttle body plugged in. Now, obviously, there is still a bunch of wires sitting out. This whole line, I want to say, this is all the transmission wiring. I just didn't feel like getting under the car the other day to do this, but the trans basically still needs to be wired. We still need to hook up the O2 sensors, which I have to do the headers before I do the O2 sensors to install the headers on the car and then plug them in. So it's kind of just one thing after another, but most of the wiring is laid out in place. Still need to throw the coolant temp sensor in the head over here, and yada, 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 the laundry list goes on. But I would say this is a pretty good stopping point for this video. And then in the next video, we can resume with buttoning up this, getting the setup basically buttoned up and being able to send the tuner the current tune file from this computer, from the LS1 setup, so that he can make me a fresh startup tune and this thing will be ready to run. So with that being said, that's where we're going to be wrapping up today's video. As always, I truly do appreciate you guys tuning in for yet another video. Once again, next video, we're basically going to get this thing finally all wrapped up and be ready to turn power onto it, get that startup tune, and that will be the little bit of motivation I need to button up a couple other little odds and ends and finally be able to hear this thing run. At least I hope. Hopefully everything I did is correct. I already know there's going to be some leaks here and there, and a couple things I might have forgotten. That's just always how cars go when you're putting them together and you're kind of on a time crunch, not really. But so I'm prepared to have to fix some stuff. I'm not expecting this to be perfect, but I really do hope that this motor runs as good as it should. And I'm hoping I installed all of that kind of stuff right, so I don't have to take this back out, because that would suck. But anyways, that's where I'm ending it today. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video and you look forward to some more content, make sure you subscribe, drop a like down below, and make sure to comment. Let me know how you guys, let me know how it's coming out. Let me know if there's anything you do different, anything that I should do, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, I'm just super stoked. This thing's coming along really great. It's really looking good, and I'm so excited to hear this thing run soon. I mean, we're at that point. So today is Friday. That's why I'm trying to get this outro done to get this video up today. But this weekend, I might get to hear this thing run, and that'll really be a big motivation boost to get this thing rolling. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you as always. I love you all so much.